How do you do? And welcome to Rauta Reviews. Today I present you some goddamn good death metal from United States of America. Well, I don't know if this is about Midwestern United States stuff. This is all the way from California, so put your weed pipes on, tune in, and let's find out what Skeletal Remains is all about. Yeehaw! So, Skeletal Remains, not very old band, but definitely a band deserving attention, at least after this one, if this is not known band to you by now. And the reason is, I'm not gonna save it for the end, I'm just gonna spit it out here. This is one of the best releases so far in 2018 and probably the best one I've gotten to hear this year so far, given it's early April. Now, Skeletal Remains, like I said, hasn't been out too many years, but they've been quite active with their releases. And here's the CD inlay, nothing special about it. Very kind of a typical death metalish feeling. I don't know, but this reminds me of bands like Immolation, Incantation, Suffocation, all kind of Asian names. And this is called Devouring Mortality. As you can see, pretty nice picture. I think it pretty much gets the feeling of 90s death metal, you know, those kind of painted pictures with some gruesome death and destruction and whatnot. And here is the lineup on the back of the booklet. As you can see, these are live pictures, which is yet again so typical for a death metal band, and not in a bad way. So here again, yet again is the track list with the booklet, and here we have the lyrics, which are more than just a couple of lines to begin with. Yet again, nice feeling with the imagery here. This is the mid part. I don't know why there's a need for that, basically. More lyrics for your reading pleasure. More imagery with the lyrics. At least there's enough pages for people to figure out everything on the album. So here it is. Skeletal Remains, Devouring Mortality. Now, everything basically from the cover to the name of the album and tracklist is all about death metal. It just breathes in and out that this is a death metal band 101. Everything that is basic is here. And kind of could be very well being afraid that, okay, this is just one of those 3 out of 5 stars albums, like doing just repetition and basically copycatting everything that there has been so far in death metal for the past 30 years. Well, luckily, I am totally wrong with that kind of assumption. Then again, I actually had a little bit more expectations than just 3 out of 5, but rest assured, I was positively surprised because this one is some badass death metal the way it was meant to be. The way it was created already in the 80s. This one is something that I just love. Call me cynical and whatnot, but usually I'm getting used to the very fact that whatever my favorite genre is, that is black metal, death metal, thrash metal, and so on, the thing is, I rarely get positively surprised because usually I know good bands and what to expect, and rarely they are positive ones because, well, you know, after so many years, that what to expect, what is realistic to expect, and so forth. But this kind of blew my mind, and the reason is, I was expecting a solid death metal album, but you know, nothing special in that sense. And when I started listening in my car yesterday, driving to band rehearsals and whatnot, I was like already like, okay, I'm listening to this in the car with my, you know, car stereo sound system, which is okay, but of course not in par with, you know, totally proper amplifier and, you know, speaker setup at home. But already I felt like, okay, this has strong production, totally good vocals, and the riffs, they are just, you know, solid death metal banging and shredding and ripping just all life to pieces. And I was like, okay, this might actually be something. Now when I got back home, get some sleep, put it on my player and gave it a couple more spins, I don't know, 3 or 4 more times actually, and I was like, this is some really, really good death metal. No, this is great death metal. And the reason is, this reminds me of old Obituary, like Slowly Wrath. This also reminds me of old Death. Think of like Leprosy or Scream Bloody Gore. You know, especially those guitar leads, which are just phenomenal. And you know, this kind of mid-tempo stuff and those kind of ready to vomit kind of crawling vocals. They're so Obituary that if I didn't know, I could just believe that this was Obituary recording. Yet with those kind of death guitar leads and whatnot. And there's also some D-side on some parts. I'm not trying to figure out which album or which song, because D-side has never been my favorite band, even though we're a solid death metal band, but you get the idea. And maybe even some Cannibal Corpse to go with it. Who knows what other bands there could be laying us an Easter eggs, so to speak, and whatnot. But the basic idea, this is built on the foundation of American death metal. The very bands that were basically laying the groundwork for, 1980s or early 90s. I don't know if you can find Morbid Angel on this one, because somebody might be mentioning that one, but doesn't matter. I'm a big death fan, so these kind of death kind of guitar leads and whatnot made a huge impression when I was listening to this album. And like I said, Picture and D-Side are not my favorite death metal bands, but like I said, they're solid ones. And because this is actually not only bowing to them as a tribute, but this is also kind of refreshing the vision, just like it could have been 88 or something like that, or 92, who knows, who cares. The thing is, Skeletal Remains is basically bringing the golden era of death metal, the very first years, just to the 2018, and making it sound worthwhile without being a retro copycat thingy. Devouring Mortality is kind of an epitome of what modern death metal can be without sounding too retro, too copyish, I mean, everything on this album is just close to perfection. The only reason why I'm not rating this kind of a 10 out of 10 is that, well, it's really hard to compete with kind of a uber classic albums, like in my books, Leprosy, Scream Bloody Gore, even Symbolic, and not to mention other bands that are out there with their just superb death metal albums. But like I said, there's nothing I can absolutely complain about. Everything from the production, guitar sound, shredding, drum work, vocals, just everything falls into place perfectly. It's like a perfect fit, like a costume. I don't know, a superhero costume or something. And this just makes me absolutely fucking happy rabbit, because I know I shouldn't be expecting anything mind-blowing from the field of death metal now that it is 2018 and death metal has been going in different places and directions for so many years. But suddenly, this kind of a basic work of death metal, which could have come out almost like 30 years ago, or even more, is just making this album sound so fantastic. So, without no doubt, this is one of the best albums this year so far, and I'm pretty sure this will end on my top 5 or top 10 list by the end of year. Who knows, maybe even top 3 or whatever, but that remains to be seen, and there's no time to speculate for that for now. But if you want one album out of April 2018, Skeletal Remains is the thing. And if you have any place for death metal in your Black and Soul or whatever, get this one. Go listen to samples and prepare to be impressed. Skeletal Remains, Devouring Mortality. I bow to you. This is great album, great stuff. Go check it out. Thank you for watching this super review, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so far. Drop your comments later on on the box below, and let me know what you think about this album. It's great, great, great. See ya!